Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about specifically American freedom. America in this specific American freedom in the moment of the caves and clubs question. Right? There is a dark fear that has kind of set over America, and they're like, hey, we drink blueberry cobbler, we wear dope sneakers, we have antique books. Does all that go away tomorrow? And we live in a cave, and our club is our most valuable tool, right? Vladimir Putin has given us this question, right? We're going to talk about specifically Batman and Batman as a cultural icon within America and a key to understanding where America has been, where the American people's sentiment was, where it is now, and where it is going in the future on the questions of heroism, on the questions of the limitation of the human being, on questions of fear, justice, loss, all of that, right? So spoilers specifically for Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson's and Zoe Kravitz's Batman 2022. Okay, let's get into this. So, what I want to talk about today is how Matt Reeves chose to present the Batman today to America, and how I think he was very, very carefully, very specifically speaking to a cultural question that Americans have. Okay? All right, so first of all, let's talk about Batman and America, right? Batman is iconically American, and it's a really important thing to Americans in that, so basically Bob Kane invents Batman, and he puts him as this dark hero who's willing to serve justice when no one else is willing to do that. And he also is saying that there's almost no limits to what a human can achieve if they are determined enough, right? And there's also within the Batman this idea, this very American idea that your beginnings are incredibly problematic, right? That you are set back by loss and trial and trauma, but you can become something, but you can become something great. Here's another one. There's a question within Batman, specifically for Americans, because Batman is an American hero. And the question is, when fear visits you, what happens? Does fear become your master? Or do you master fear, or do you become fear itself, right? What is your response to fear, right? And the reality is, Bob Kane was saying, your answer had best not be that you are mastered by fear. You must either master fear, like Jim Gordon, right? Or you must become fear itself. Others fear you, right? That's how far you are from that's how free you are from the effects of fear. So the Batman is this deeply psychological, cultural key to understand Americans' perception of heroism, justice, fear, and loss, right? All of that, right? And right now, right, there's this massive question in the air. Who has courage? Who has courage? Who has courage, right? What is courageous today, right? President Volodymyr Zelensky. There's no question of the courages he is displaying. President Biden. I'm not sure that's as unquestionable, right? Is he displaying courage? Maybe. I don't know. It's a little murky question, right? And so Americans are looking at themselves and they're saying, hey, am I courageous? Am I willing to do something courageous? And guess what? Seeing the Batman today is quite courageous. That is so you're like, wait a second, Scott. How on earth could going to the movies be a courageous thing, right? Well, there's a couple reasons. The obvious one that everybody's going to think about is a lot of people have not felt comfortable going to the movies, right? We're 2 years out, right? And at the State of the Union, every American leader said, hey, take a look at my face. This is what courage looks like now, right? So maybe, stepping out 2 years after, that's courageous. There's another very big reason why going to a Batman movie on opening weekend is absolutely a very large statement of courage, right? But you got to know your history to get it. All right. So, there's really two layers of courage in just seeing the Batman on opening weekend, right? Like it's a big thing. So there's this question of courage, right? All right. Let's talk about what Matt Reeves does in this film. It's really incredible, okay? So we're in this world right now where almost everyone is saying, where is justice? Look what's happening, right? Like there was reports that Vladimir Putin was blocking evacuations with military munitions. And everybody's like, where is justice? Where is justice? Right? So Matt Reeves, who is the director of the Batman, he directed films in the brand new Planet of the Apes trilogy, which were fantastic. If you saw the Planet of the Apes Caesar movies, right, the new ones from the 2010s to I think maybe 2016, somewhere in there, they're brilliant. They're absolutely brilliant. They have a lot to say about culture, right? And so Matt Reeves is a brilliant director with a lot to say. His movies are layered. There's messages in his movies. There are messages in his movies. There are messages in his movies, deep ones, right? But they're not surface level. You got to look for them. You got to pay attention, right? And what I'm about to tell you, I only noticed on my third watching of the Batman on opening weekend. Let's get into it. All right. So Matt Reeves, he puts out a message. He's like about justice, right? So basically, we're in this world right now where there's this huge question of where is justice, right? So in the film opens with a gentleman with a working man on a commuter train, in Gotham, right? And this gang comes up and they grab him, they accost him, they pull him into this dark area of the subway, and they specifically are going to beat him to within an inch of his life. That's their intention, right? In the film, if you're paying attention, it looks like they don't. Then it's not about robbing him. It's not about taking his money. It's not about killing him. It is to beat him, right? To beat him senseless. That is their goal. And the movie shows us in a couple of different ways, right? And so at this point, bald-faced villainy is displayed, okay? And then so Matt Reeves puts on the scene bald-faced villainy, okay? Then he's like, okay, at this point in the film, I'm going to introduce you to Batman. I'm going to introduce you to Batman, right? So how does he do it? It's really fascinating. The first thing he does is he does it with sound, right? It's a clang, clang, doom, right? It's a deep sound in the subway. It strikes, it literally gets the attention of the entire gang. There's 10 people in the gang, right? About to just beat this poor working man, right? And so they look down this dark tunnel, right? No light. And Batman emerges, okay? So first he's introduced by sound. Now he is introduced by presence, right? He is present, right? And he walks forward and he is in full regalia, black as night. He's got his cowl on, he's got his cape, right? And he's going forward, and at this point, all you can hear is his footsteps, right? And as he comes out of the tunnel, he goes into the rain, which is seeping down into the subway stations, right? And there's rain falling on him and falling on the ground, okay? And at this point, Matthew Reeves has done his first two introductions of the Batman. Matthew Reeves' movies carry messages, right? And he says, I want you to hear the sound that comes before the Batman arrives in a world where there is a question of where is justice. And then he's like, I want you to see very clearly that, I want you to see now very clearly that Batman is present. You see all of him. You see his face. You see his equipment. You see him. And then finally, the third and final thing that is shown in the introduction of Batman, in the question world of Gotham, where is justice? Matthew Reeves puts a close-up of Batman's feet. and you see that he has combat boots on, and he is walking in the rain. And Matthew Reeves shows very carefully when bald-faced villainy appears, Batman has his boots on the ground.